Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. So, why couldn't the couple get married at the library? It was all booked up. Today, we're going to be taking a look at, well, my top 30 games of 2025. I know I'm a little bit late, but I still had a few that I wanted to get played before I made this list. Now, what I'm going to do is rather than do my top 10, I'm going to do my top 30, which is about half of the games that I played that came out in 2025 this year. And today, we're going to be looking at games 21 through 30. So, without further ado, let's get going. All right, so my number 30 is basically it's a game that's about the third in this particular series that's come out. Now there's been a lot of expansions for the other one, but it's a game where you're basically a marine searcher. It's from Stonemaier Games, and that's Finspan. So FinSpan, yeah, like I said, you're basically a marine searcher. You're going through this deck. You're trying to find all the different fish for your aquatic life and everything else. You got your different tracks that you're going to be putting those particular fish on. You're trying to cover up different things. It's going to get you more stuff on your board. Okay. Now this is like I said, the third in the series. What was it? Wingspan was the first, and Wormspan was the second, and then Finspan is kind of that third in that series that's come out. And it's a really good game. I think it's the lighter of the three that have come out, but it's very enjoyable. Okay. I've had a lot of fun playing this one. You're basically playing over 4 separate weeks within the game. Okay. And you're just diving deeper and deeper down to the ocean on your particular board. And at the end of the day, whoever, gets the most points is going to win the game. It's a very fun game. Stonemeier's been doing a really good job putting out these different span games. All right. And I think they did a great job with Finspan. So there you go. That is my number 30. Okay, so my number 29 is also the third game in its particular series, but it's a totally different type of a series. Now, this is the third game in the Irregular Conflict series, and this is a game by GMT Games, and this is Cross Bronx Expressway. Now, the Irregular Conflict series is basically a coin adjacent type game, okay, and that's what this one is, okay. So it's taking place in the South Bronx, 1940s to what is about the year 2000s, and you basically have these little overlay tiles. You're taking actions on the board. And you're just kind of doing, trying to gain control of those little locations. Now, the thing about this game is because it's a coin adjacent type game, it's driven by an event deck and you're going to be either taking the events or you're going to be doing the actions on your board. But the thing with these type of games is you really need to work with your neighbors, but at the same time, you're going to cross them there at the end. Okay. Now, the game's going to go until either the event deck runs out or certain situations may happen. Or somebody gets enough victory points, they're going to win at one point in time in the middle of the game. But it's, like I said, it's part of the coin type series. It's coin adjacent, but very good game. And that is Cross Bronx Expressway, my number 29. So my number 28 is actually the 13th game in its series. I've got this rolling theme of series games going on here. And this one takes place between the years of 1937 to 1941. And that's China's War, 1937 to 1941 from GMT Games. Now, this is a game that's basically going to look at those first 5 years of the China conflict when they stood alone against the Japanese Empire. Okay. Now, this is, like I said, this is the 13th series in the coin series, or the 13th game in the coin series. Okay. And in this particular one, you're either going to be playing either the Nationalist Party, which is basically the Japanese. You're going to be the rebellious Chinese Communist Party. You may be the warlords. But you're taking on one of them, and you're basically just trying to see who's going to be able to come out the victor in these particular games. It's a coin series game. And so in coin series games, you pretty much have to align yourself with other factions, but then you're going to have to break off those alignments. All right. They're very event driven. So sometimes you may want to take the different actions that are on your board, but if it's your turn and there's an event that could be bad for you, you may want to take it so you can do the less bad part of it so somebody else don't get it and just totally take you down. Very good. I like the coin series games. I've played a bunch of the games right now. Some of them are starting to blend in my head because I'm not a super big history fanatic. I have a hard time remembering a lot of the history stuff. So I don't really get into the history aspect as much as some of the others I play with. But I still think the gameplay is very good. And this one here was actually exceptionally good. And that is China's War, 1937 to 1941, my number 28. Okay, so my number 27 is going to have basically the same kind of theme as my last two games. All right, and this is basically it's a coin adjacent type game, but it's a little bit different. Okay, this is Werewolf The Insurgency of Occupied Germany, 1945 to 1948. Now, this is an alternate history strategy type game, which, like I said, is basically coin adjacent. So it's still going to have a lot of that coin gameplay. You still have your event deck. You have your different factions. They're going to have their board. They're going to have the two different things they can do. And so a lot of the game is still going to feel very coin adjacent. But like I said, this is a very alternate history. Now, this one, unlike the other ones, I really enjoyed the gameplay in this one. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really unique on how this one kind of aligned itself in. And then, of course, like I said before, not a super big history buff. So an alternate history type for me, I almost can't even tell the difference. I just enjoy the gameplay. Okay. In a Werewolf, the Insurgency of Occupied Germany, I actually really enjoyed this one. And yeah, I would definitely play this one again. Like I said, it is a coin adjacent game. And this one here is by Legion War Games LLC. So a little bit different company that does it, but that's my number 27. So my number 26 is basically a remake of an older game that came out several years ago. And they have kind of modified it and kind of updated the rules and everything on it. And that is Cthulhu Dark Provinces by CMON. Now, this is a game that basically took A Study in Emerald, which is an old Martin Wallace game, and they kind of redid it and kind of, brought it back. Now, I really liked A Study in Emerald. So when Cthulhu Dark Province came out, I was really excited to play it. Now, in this game, you're basically taking on the secret role. You could either be an investigator, you might be a cultist, you might be one of the dissidents. All right. And depending on what your role is going to depend on what you need to do in the city. So gates are going to pop up. You may want to try to keep those gates open. You may want to try to close those gates. Or whatever it may be, but you're basically going to be going to different locations. The city, there's little arrows you're going to track how you can get back and forth around everything, and you basically just need to do whatever it is based off of your secret role, and that's going to tell you how you need to win this game. Okay. Now, sometimes it's a little easier or harder to tell what people are. I mean, if someone's running around leaving gates open, you may know what they are, or if someone's going around closing the gates, you may know what they are. So it's not super difficult to determine what everybody else's roles are. But when you go closing a gate and somebody comes back and reopens the gate, and then you got to go back and try to figure out how to manage all that, it's just a really fun game. But that is my number 26, Cthulhu Dark Provinces by CMON. Okay, so my number 25 game is a game that honestly I didn't think I was going to like as much as I did. Now, it's a 1 to 3 player game that I prefer to actually play this one solo. All right, and that is The Pursuit of John Wilkes Booth by Blue Panther. Now, in this game here, basically the president has been shot. He's still alive. They carried his body over to the boarding house. It's going to be across the street. And well, you are playing a detective and you got to try to figure out where John Wilkes Booth is. All right. There's like 4 different locations that he can travel off to. You're trying to gather clues and you're trying to uncover his trail. There's this whole track down at the very bottom of the board, and that's kind of like your little timer on where everything's going to go. But what you need to do is you basically need to successfully search and do some different raids to find out where his exact location is by either killing or capturing him. And you have a certain length of time to try to get this done. I had a lot of fun playing this game. I did not think that I was going to have as much fun or enjoy this game as much as I did, but it was really good and I had a really great time playing it. And I enjoyed each play after that as well. It plays very different every time. Okay. But that is, what is it? That is my number 25, The Pursuit of John Wilkes Booth. So my number 24 is a 2-player card-driven war game that's about the struggles of the French Resistance. Okay, now this is another game by GMT Games. I did play a lot of GMT games this year. All right, and this is In the Shadows: Resistance of France, 1943 to 1944. And in this game, you're either playing as the resistance or the occupation. All right, and you're basically it's kind of a tug of war to see who can basically win over the hearts and the minds of the French people. All right, now victory in this game is going to be determined by a combination of occupation resources, required resistance units, whenever it turns over, and if anyone meets those victory conditions, they're actually going to win. Now, this was a really fun 2-player tug of war game. I enjoyed it immensely. Another one of those games that I enjoyed way more than I thought I would. Very fun. It's a really tight game, and you really got to think about how you're going to win this one, but really enjoyable. And like I said, this is my number 24, In the Shadows: Resistance of France, 1943 to 1944. So my number 23 is a city building kind of area control game where basically you're trying to take influence over like gates, your different watchtowers in this particular city. You're also trying to influence the different factions of the city, and that is Dungeons and Dragons Builders of Baldur's Gate from WizKids. Now, like I said, you need to influence some of the three main factions. You got the Council of Four, what is it? You got the Flaming Fist, and you got the Thieves Guild. But at the same time, as you're building up your influence and everything in the city and building up everything, taking over your keeps and gates, watchtowers, and whatnot, you have to also fend off the attacks from different monsters that may happen throughout this. Okay, now this game is beautiful when it's being built up because you're putting the little city pieces out. You got your little cubes on them to kind of show who has control of everything else. A very fun game, and like I said, it's an area control type game. So you need to try to maintain different areas inside your factions to try to get up enough points to win this particular game. Had a lot of fun playing this one. Like I said, this was my number 23, and this is Dungeons and Dragons Builders of Baldur's Gate. So my number 22 game is basically an area control game that's going to be set in the dark ages of Britain, and that is Bretwalda by Phalanx Games. Now, like I said, this is an area control game where basically what it is everybody has an asymmetric faction. All right, you have your board that's got the different actions you're going to be able to do, and you're only going to be able to take a couple actions per turn of all the ones you have. But as you're moving your forces out across the land, you're trying to take them over. There's different areas you want to take those over more, so that way when you claim taxes, you're going to be able to get more money. You need to basically build up buildings, so that way you can try to get more resources. You're attacking some of your other opponents. Meanwhile, you have to make sure that you're not being attacked as well. You got to keep your defenses up. It's just a really good, it's a pretty fast-paced area control game as well. It doesn't take a super long time to play, and it's only going to play out over about 12 turns. But like I said, the cool thing is you're only doing a couple actions per turn, but you got to be careful about what you take. And each action and everything you do is really critical because there's so much you can do, or so much you want to do, but there's only so much that you can do type thing. Okay, very fun game. My number 22, Bretwalda. All right, so my number 21 is a two-player game that's basically a two-player version of a larger game that came out in 24. All right, and that is Joyride Duel Next Gen from Rebellion Unplugged. Now, Joyride Duel is basically just a two-player version of Joyride Survival of the Fastest. All right, in which case you just got a couple cars, you're on a smaller map, and you're just kind of driving around, pushing your luck, trying to take corners, trying to get through all the different gates that you need to. You're running into your opponent, you're trying to spin them out, just anything that you can. Okay, there's new items that come in here. There's, like I said, there's a couple of tracks, and there's different scenarios or way you can set those tracks up. So there's like 12 new tracks basically across the two maps. And if you have the original game, Joyride Survival the Fastest, you can use all of those cars even in this one as well, and this one to that one, vice versa. So you can combine the two, but this just gives you that smaller race. So if you have 4 people that want to play, great, play the bigger one. But if you only got a couple people that want to play, that's where this game comes in handy, because it's totally designed for 2 players. Okay, and on that smaller size track. Absolutely love playing Joyride. It's been really fun throughout last year when I played it and everything else. And Joyride Duel gives me that same feeling, but on a smaller level. So my number 21, Joyride Duel Next Gen. All right, folks, there you go. That is my number 21 through my number 30. And like I said, this is only games that came out in 2025 last year. Now, there's a lot of them that I played, but there's also a lot of them that I have not played. So maybe so far my favorites aren't on your list, but I still got 20 more games to go. Okay, this is just 21 through 30. So come back next time, and I'll give you my next 10. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook, or even on X. Please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, folks, if you like the videos that I do here, if you haven't done so already, I humbly ask you to click on the subscription button and even click on the bell and be notified when I drop new videos. And also, folks, if you like the videos I do here, I also post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers page. Over there, we'll do some unboxings, playthroughs, and reviews. I'll leave a link to Cody's channel down in the details below. So, how do flat earthers travel? On a plane.